Today's Thursday, January 9th, 2025. And it's going to be a little bit different video about a historical ranch that was actually being taken care of by the state park system. It was a very nice place to visit. Will Rogers State Historic Park. I'm going to start off on how you get there. If you heard of Sunset Boulevard from downtown LA, it goes to Hollywood, up past the boulevard called La Cienega. You're going into Beverly Hills. From Beverly Hills, you go into deep, beautiful homes on Sunset. People do drive too fast on that particular boulevard, even though it curves left to right. It does go up into the hills a little bit. It's not a mountainous drive, but it's a 2-lane highway. A couple of times it's only 1 lane on each side, but generally it's 2 lanes on each side. And it goes through various cities. It even goes past Westwood. On Sunset, you can see the other side of UCLA. You go past UCLA, you go across the 405 freeway, which is the San Diego freeway, which also turns into the 5 going north. But you go to the overpass. You are actually going past Getty Museum, the second one. So you continue on, and you're going to go through some narrow, fast ways, but if you keep going too fast among the trees on the narrow Sunset Boulevard, you could go right past Will Rogers State Historic Ranch. So you have to kind of slow down because they had one area that was not used anymore where you go up into the ranch, but the actual section has the name Will Rogers State Park, the big sign, but you have to slow it down. You make a right turn up into it, and there's a parking lot. Usually you have to pay for parking. And once you park, you can see the polo field because that's what they played back then. They had a lot of horses. They had a ranch, and you can see the ranch house. It was a very beautiful ranch house with state-of-the-art showers with the curvature. I do have pictures, but I can't find them right now. But it's state-of-the-art. It's what they did back in the days when they first started using showers. I have been to a couple of tours. I took quite a few people there in the past. I haven't been there in quite a long time, but I was slated to do a YouTube sooner or later to get there. But it's a very nice looking property, big fields, trees, walking trails. You can walk up the hill. You can overlook the Pacific Ocean over Malibu as far south as you can. Maybe not to Redondo Beach, but at least to, what's the name of that beach? Well, at least to Santa Monica. And you can see probably downtown Los Angeles, Westwood area, part of it. But it's Sunset. They also had a stable. They had horses there. And you can walk up the trails Easy trails. You don't want to do it on a very hot day, but the trails are nice and easy. You do have to watch for rattlesnakes every now and then. Depending on how hot it is, you have to look for animals. Maybe mountain lions, but I never run across there. Of course, I haven't been there in quite some time, in over 10 years, I think. But I've been there and I took some people on tours. And it just so happens that they have a tour of the house. You really don't walk around the house. You walk in the front door. You wait for the docent. You go inside and you see all these replicas of animals, mountaineering type stuff. So if you know anything about Will Rogers, I'm not going to even talk about it there, but he did a lot of good. There's also a state beach that was down there. If you kept going down Sunset, you will hit the state beach. That's a separate price also. But once you leave there and you keep continuing on to Sunset, you'll be going to the other towns. I really don't remember the towns, but they're beautiful looking towns. Sometimes I go through there. There was a parade, especially not last year, but the year before that. But I've been up and down at Sunset for many years, sometime in the middle of the night. Just like I said, some people drive too fast. There have been a lot of different things there. But that whole section is where there are a lot of trees. A lot of trees. And so once you take Sunset West all the way to Pacific Coast Highway, you can drive south. You can take a left. You'll be at Pacific Park. Not quite Venice Beach. The Venice Beach would be on the other side, but pretty close. Venice Beach is on Pacific Coast Highway, whereas Santa Monica Beach, where Pacific Park is, all that's connected. But if you go north, if you make a right turn on north, there was a restaurant there called Glass Stones that's been around there for quite some time. I've been there quite a few times. I haven't been there in many years because it had been closed down. They think someone was going to buy it. They was going to revitalize it. So then you go ahead and you make your turn past Gladstone Restaurant. And sooner or later, you're going to hit Getty Villa. It's free. Usually you have to pay for parking. But that's the very first Getty Villa. A lot of statues, a lot of artifacts, real beautiful place. I believe that got saved. But when you make your right turn going north, Pacific Coast Highway opens up. It is kind of curvy, not too much. Sometimes people drive too fast there too, even at night. But you go past Malibu, you go to Topanga, you go to Zuma Beach, you go all the way to the Ventura County line. Now, I don't know if it passed that yet. It probably did because that's part of the Santa Monica. I always said I was going to go into the Santa Monica Mountains, and I have not been yet. But you can hit the Santa Monica Mountains on what you call the 101 freeway. That will be inland. But the number one, Pacific Coast Highway 1, which is broken up as you go up north all the way to Monterey Bay. However, we talking about getting to the Ventura line. I don't know if it crossed that or not. Maybe it did. I didn't hear them say Ventura. But as you go up the coast, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of homes, a lot of apartment homes. Very expensive. The water and the tide is right there. You know how much those restaurants cost. They're very trendy. It's usually crowded. Now, some days you can go up the highway, there's not that many people in the morning. On holidays, it can be very crowded to a crawl. There's other historic buildings there that maybe it did get to that one. I don't know. That could be Topanga. I just don't know. But they make tiles. I think they've been making tiles there since the early 1900s. Now, mind you, Will Rogers Ranch has been around since the 1920s. Will Rogers bought that. And Pacific Palisades, as I gather, was actually named probably after he bought it, probably after he passed away. So that's a whole big community there. You go up north, and nothing but beach. Nothing but beautiful beaches and water. But like I said, there was a lot of businesses. You're starting to see businesses on the left and you see businesses on the right. Usually, when you go to these beach cities, you either park on both sides or they have no parking or you pay for parking. So it's very mixed use when you're talking about parking. There are people who surf there. There are little enclaves where the beach just opens up. Beautiful, picturesque, beyond your imagination. I've been driving that coast since I knew how to drive. And to see what I plan to see, because I can't go there, is blocked off. No one is driving up to Pacific Coast Highway, period. You probably have to take the 101 freeway. But the coast was the most for most people who love to see the water, who love to swim. There were lifeguard stations there. And normally you can park there an X amount of hours, a whole lot of hours there. But like I said, they do have paid parking along the way, but they let you park on the highway because there's certain stretches, it's stretched out to 2 lanes and then it comes back to one. But in certain areas, you definitely can park. Sometimes you can see a little sand on the hill across the road. But there's thousands and thousands of businesses that was right on the ocean. Thousands and thousands of, they look like miniature homes. Some have been rehabilitated, or whatever they call it, renovated to look different. You can't have a big truck there because usually their driveways are very small and you can't really block their driveway. If there's any blocking the driveway, it's probably the tenants who live there because that would be in front of their garage. All of us really love to drive Pacific Coast Highway, even when it was too slow. But sometimes people get a little rowdy. But usually when you travel Pacific Coast Highway, you expect to slow down when it's crowded on a holiday or a Sunday or Saturday because that's what you wanted to do. You want to take your time and smell the air. Of course, if you look to your right or look to your left, but if you're going north, you got to look to your right. You can see homes, immaculate homes on stilts, over cresting the hill. And when they show this on TV, you can't help but to feel sad. And I just received a warning on my phone to say the Los Angeles area, if you feel threatened. I don't know what the threat they're talking about. They talking about the embers? Okay, fine. But like I said before, last video, you have to bear with it. There have been fires before where it's been smoky, particulates be in the air, and you had to wear a mask. There's no way of getting around it. This fire is so strong that it went backwards. Well, maybe not backwards, but you're talking about the hilly area. It goes all the way past Will Rogers Park, the Beverly Hills area. It's really going through Beverly Hills also, all the way back to the Hollywood sign. Griffith Park Observatory is right in that area. Now, will it get that far? It looked like it is going through the back way. At least that's what I'm calling it. Maybe Topanga Canyon, or whatever they call that canyon where it goes to the valley, when it goes from Sunset to the valley. I forget that road. It's a very fast road. But yeah, this is the San Gabriels. And there's always fires sometimes in the San Gabriel area because that's the foothill areas. So the fire went all the way down, not just up the coast, but it went straight down and it jumped the road and hit all them businesses along the water. Okay, I look good. I just received an emergency alert, extreme, January 4th, 4:19 p.m. LA County. Disregard last evacuation warning. It was for Kenneth fire only. So the one that I just talked about, they said disregard that. This is the same type of alert system that you get whenever someone kidnaps somebody also. But I just can't believe it, personally. I cannot believe it. I actually had suspicion that it is possible. I think devastation from a fire can happen anytime depending on how strong it is, how strong the winds are, because usually the winds is what determines the intensity of the fire. Don't matter whether it goes up, down, around, or whatever. They do a lot of clearance around your homes. They tell you to do that. But that's on the ground, folks. We know that's on the ground. But in the air, that's where you watch it. People going out with the hose pipe, they don't even have enough pressure. Not enough pressure to even cut the fire in half so they can take out, at least save a few homes for the masses. But this firestorm has taken out the masses. I can see it now going up Pacific Coast Highway. When all this is said and done, when they start renovating again and rebuilding again, I can just imagine all the tractors, trailers, just to move all that debris on the coast and up in the hills. We're going to be seeing more tractors, dump trucks, perhaps cement trucks redoing the whole coastline or maybe they'll leave a swatch open there. Because the economic level there is very high. I heard the McDonald's burned. I think it was McDonald's. I've been to that McDonald's before. They had a couple of them there. They have shopping centers. It's going to be strange. I know it is, driving there. I'm not going to produce any kind of fake pictures. When the time comes, I'm sure there's going to be many versions of what it looks like driving Pacific Coast Highway right on into Ventura. I don't know how it's going to feel. Will it still feel like it's fun? Probably not when you see a lot of things burned down. Of course, I've been in the mountains before where there have been trees that have been burned down, but now they are recuperating. People planting new trees. Been to those kind of areas. But we're talking about homes here. And now we're going to have probably more mudslides. Probably a mudslide on a massive scale, because when these homes were built, they've been there a while. The ground has settled, and now they're going to be unsettling because they're going to have to redo the landscape, which is not going to be the way it was when they first put their homes there, put their buildings there, their livelihood there. It is always sad to hear about destruction. It doesn't matter whether it's man-made or environmental. But we know how devastating it can be. I mean, I'm seeing people, at least a few, I still have not watched it totally. I only have to watch a couple of people talk and they can show me the devastation. I even seen a section that I think I've seen before. There are a lot of places that those businesses have that I've never walked, but I always drive by it. And that's what the Pacific Coast is about. Driving down there, you either have your sunroof, your moon roof open, maybe, convertible top down, motorcycles, always motorcycles, motorbikes, and definitely a lot of surfboards at certain parts of the coast. Sometimes you just wonder that when you think about the future, sometimes in your mind you know something like that can happen, but you wish that it don't, but it did. I could name a couple other places. I probably already mentioned them in another video. But generally, when you have nothing to do, you don't have much money, you go drive the coast. And if you did have a lot of money, it's because you're going someplace. You're going to eat at one of those nice restaurants. Like I said, they had a lot of little outdoor malls in the different little cities going up there. And it is amazing how something so beautiful has been destroyed. Yes, it is amazing. Because amazing can be used both ways. The only way that it can come back is if it looked the same way, and we know it's not going to happen. What will it look like in the future? Only time will tell. Will they build the same kind of way? Or will they build something a little bit different? Or will they build anything at all on the highway like that? Or will it be totally different? Will they tell people not to build on that anymore? How many people have insurance? All I know is I know that because this is earthquake area, mudslide area after a devastating fire devastated the area, that sooner or later my insurance goes up, your insurance goes up. They said it's not true, but that is true. It's going up because of what's happening around us. Yeah, I'm getting into that too a little bit because we know that we're being overcharged. We worked very hard. We have to fix things, but something had to be catastrophic. And even then, there's a question mark whether they can fix it in a timely manner or not. And then you have to find some place to live. All the hotels in that area have been booked solid now. Those hotels are very expensive because hotels are very expensive everywhere now, especially if they're high-rise hotel and the food. I know people will be helping out as much as they can, which you should. It don't matter what type of car you drive or how much you got. Devastation is devastation. It don't matter what level you're at because devastation is devastation. Catastrophe is catastrophe. And we know what that means. I'm trying not to relate it to any other thing. I want to keep it real on the level because the focus is here, Southern California, and nowhere else right now. Not northern, southern. Not central, southern. Southern California. That's what's happening right now. You know that song, We Love It? Talking about all those different boulevards and stuff like that. Very unusual song, very good song, very catchy song. And it's true. Maybe to some people it lost its meaning, but many of us, if we only got $1 in our pocket and we have enough fuel, we go up Pacific Coast Highway as far as we can go and come back. Just give us a half tank of gas. We can get up there. Don't worry, we're going to get back. But it's the drive. It's the fun of it all. It's the beauty of it all. I was talking about the car the other day that you gotta have a car. There are buses to go there. The buses are like every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hours. Your whole day is spent. It don't matter what type of car you got right now. It could be EV, it could be gas, it could be hydrogen, it could be steam engine. I wish it was a steam engine car. I heard there is. And they still talking about flying cars. But whatever kind of car you got, you need it. You need a car to enjoy yourself on these highways because you don't know what's going to happen on those highways. Especially if you're a small kid and you've been traveling up and down those highways and didn't know it was Pacific Coast Highway until you got older, till you got into your teens and you had your own vehicle and you started driving up and down. You only had a couple of dollars in your pocket. There's still something new to find out. Yet, there it is. We have to look forward to catastrophe because all that does is humble you. And if you're not humbled by that, I don't know what to say. A lot of these people are walking around like you owe them something. Hey, the world itself don't owe you anything. The survival of the fittest, I can't believe in that totally because you can be as fit as you want. But if you're in some kind of catastrophe or devastation like that, I don't care who you are. But you should be looking everything with optimism because sometimes I know it is hard. Getting on a plane, seeing smoke in the air. Are you going to get there yet? You don't know. But you have to be optimistic. You have to be wanting. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to go on with your life. But there's a major catastrophe. One that we wasn't even expecting. We wasn't surprised. I hope I hear some good things that come out of this. There are some people who lost their lives there. They didn't want to give up the ship. Would you believe that? I think I heard that someone bought a piece of land. Was it $5 or $10? Come on now. 68, maybe it was 500. And they were very important people in the greater community. I didn't know that. You never know that until it's over. Sometimes you go to funerals and you say, this person did all that? Really? Really? You know, that's the way it is. We don't know everybody. But we sympathize with people who have a certain lifestyle like everybody else, and even if they didn't. But that's what I got to say about Will Rogers Ranch. Another historical property managed by State Park, California State Park. Some place that we won't be able to go to even for future generations. And That does hurt me a little bit. We know we're not going to be around for a long time, but do we want other people to see what we see? Preservation under extreme circumstances. I could say I pray for everybody, but we already know if you're humble, that's prayer in itself. Everyone has to be safe because you never know what's going to happen, including a little bitty wildfire, which devastates not just one community, but quite a few, several communities. And that's what keeps us all going. Because a lot of those people we don't know, we need them. And they need us. This is Robin A. Sean. Ah, boy. I just can't believe it. It's happening to us. I'll see you in my next video, folks. Talk to you later. Have a great rest of your evening.